Red Dead Redemption 2 is an amazing game. It's full of history and a lot of interesting moments.
Oh, you poor thing.
Although I reckon someone's laughing at you.
It is a game that discusses at length themes like loyalty, change, death, family, and what it means to be good. And while I may make a video discussing the philosophy behind that last theme, something I also want to discuss as a history student is the portrayal of a specific group. Red Dead has many great portrayals of minorities, from the ever-beloved Sister Calderon.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
To Sean McGuire.
Get your eyes open.
Yeah, well, you're gonna sleep with your chest open if you ain't careful, boy.
And Lenny. Now this got me thinking, with so many things in Red Dead being based on real-life history, what is the story behind the Wapiti Tribe and their ultimate fate? We first meet Rains Fall, chief of the Wapiti, in Saint Denis, this game's version of New Orleans.
This is Rains Fall, a great chief, and his son, Eagle Flies.
Gentlemen, we saw you in the wagon train crossing the river at Cumberland Falls. And at the party, you were upstairs.
You have great powers of observation.
Yes, my people, if we are even a people anymore. We've fought hard. We've made peace treaties, and those treaties were broken. And we've been moved and punished and moved.
I'm sure.
And now I am told we are to be moved again.
Clearly contravening the peace treaty signed 3 years ago.
This will lead to war.
No, my son, will not. We cannot fight another war. They have got stronger, and we have become far weaker, Mr. Morgan.
Well, it's a bad business.
Rains Fall is currently battling the government of the territories over land disputes, and has, in his own words, been moved and punished. Now this quote by itself is steeped in history. The US has a long and unfortunate history of taking native lands, moving them, only to move them yet again when a new resource is discovered in that land. And this was the case for many tribes, but especially the Plains natives after the Pikes Peak and Black Hills gold rushes. However, for the Wapiti, this research is not real gold.
It's to do with oil.
The most obvious parallel to real life is the Osage tribe, a tribe that discovered oil on their land, and instead of being removed, they leased their land in exchange for a cut. This money made them the richest native tribe in America, and also caused much pain, as whites tried to find a way to make this money for themselves. This resulted in the deaths of stakeholders and even children. However, the Wapiti's plight did not end like this. After Colonel Favors confiscates some of the Wapiti horses, Eagle Flies, Rains Fall's son, arrives at the camp and convinces Arthur, Dutch, and Charles to help him steal the horses back. During this ride, he discusses more context as to the Wapiti's plight.
Pardon me for interrupting. I brought a friend, Arthur. Hello.
Hello.
Dutch. This is Eagle Flies. His father is a great chief. Charles and I, we
Pretended to be mercenaries. Did me a great favor.
Dutch Vanderlyn, how do you do?
Not well, sir.
Well, I am sorry to hear that.
How's your father?
Father has confused wisdom with weakness. His people, my people. We've suffered too much. Been lied to too much. Now they've taken our horses.
Who?
The infantry division posted at Fort Wallace.
Why?
Colonel Favors is a liar and a murderer. His people won't stop until we're all dead. Without horses, we cannot hunt. Without hunting, we will starve. This is another act of war.
I see that.
Men have helped me before, and I have money.
Put your money away, son. What do you think, Charles?
You know I told your father I will not fight over some horses.
But I made no such promise.
Anyway, son, tell me about this Colonel Favors.
He's a vile man. He and his regiment take pleasure in persecuting us. All the young have been taken from our reservation, shipped off to reform schools. Many women, too. The old are weak and sick, but they deliberately withhold medicine and supplies from us.
This ends today. You have my word on that.
While the raid is successful, and Eagle Flies is happy with the outcome, his father is less so. In the next mission, Rain's Fall discusses the outcome, and why he seeks peace so vehemently, when it doesn't seem to help his people.
Hello?
Come in. You don't sound very well.
I'm not. I think I'm dying.
And I hope you find peace.
I don't know too much about peace.
Apparently not. Did you have fun with my son, the impetuous prince? I believe you went on a raid with him.
I'm sorry.
I suppose I lack the grandeur of a conventional king.
I don't know too many kings.
Colonel Favors, he has already exacted some measure of revenge for the raid. 2 women were assaulted by his men.
I'm very sorry about all of this.
Yes. Sometimes the correct path, the bravest path, is the least obvious, and also the gentlest. I'm a great disappointment to my son.
Your son seems to want a war.
My son thinks there is glory in death. Maybe he's right, but for me, I saw death being handed out so freely by the most foolish of men, I never could equate it with victory. Glory has come in service. Maybe. Maybe not, I don't know.
I've killed a lot of people. For a whole lot of dumb reasons, and I ain't never seen much glory in it.
Well, your friend, Mr. Vanderlyn, he talks a lot. I don't know him, but my son is easily led.
I'm not sure I get you.
Well, perhaps we could go for a ride. I'm an old man.
Additionally, we meet Captain Monroe, a captain sent from DC while riding with Rain's Fall, and he lays out the latest developments with the military's efforts to take the land.
As I mentioned, I did speak again with the mayor and the Bureau of Indian Affairs in Saint Denis at length, but regrettably, it appears the oil company has already received approval to move forward with drilling on the reservation's land.
I supposed as much. So what does that mean for us now?
I'm not sure just yet. I didn't get the impression anything would be happening for a few months. I'm very sorry, sir. I did everything I could.
Arthur continues on, climbing the mountain with Rain's Fall. Finally, we arrive at the sacred place Rain's Fall mentions, and find it destroyed by members of Favor's company.
No! They destroyed everything!
No, I need to find the Chanupa. Oh, there they are. These brave men. Some of Colonel Favor's men. They must have been the ones who did this.
Are you surprised this happened?
Not at all. But I hope we were past this.
Well, you got land they want. Land with oil.
They moved us here. They've taken everything we had. I signed 3 treaties myself, and they've broken each one.
We yet again see the government and the military's disregard for the natives, and their want to remove them from the land. Christopher Rain put it best in his paper, "Our first duty was to God and our next to our country." By not fully using the land by breaking the sod, putting it into production, and building large and vibrant permanent communities, the current occupants had forfeited their title and would be forced to yield to those who wished to put their land to higher use. Eventually, however, a meeting is set up with Colonel Favors, with Captain Monroe present. Rains Falls asks Arthur and Charles to be peacekeepers, and they ride to the meeting. Unfortunately, this meeting goes, to put it lightly, incredibly bad.
Violated the treaty. That treaty is null and void. I have been appointed to negotiate.
Feeling better? Yeah. Come on. Let's go.
The lands you currently occupy belong to the United States government. Why is this so confusing, sir? Why?
Good day, Colonel Favors.
Well, that was remarkably unproductive. I'm afraid the federal government was quite clear, Colonel, that it wanted peace, and peace for all, and that the treaty had not been broken by anybody.
Oh, is that so, sir? And did it want impudence, sir, from a junior officer in public? Was that its plan too, sir? You insult me. You insult the regiment. Arrest this man.
Arrest me?
Gross insubordination. Disobeying an order. Treason.
Are you mad?
You had those vaccines stolen. You disrupted a negotiation.
Let him go.
This is all getting out of hand.
Captain Monroe, let's get out of here. If I were you, I'd keep my mouth shut, amigo. I don't want to kill this man, but shall. Charles, Captain Monroe, mount up now. We're getting out of here.
Well, that went well.
Talks between Favors and Rains Fall collapses. Favors threatens Monroe with treason, and Arthur and Charles get in a gunfight with the military. Monroe is forced to flee the country as well, for fear of his life, and the situation with the military deteriorates to a level where Eagle Flies takes it upon himself to rectify the situation. Eagle Flies attacks a convoy with the help of Arthur and Dutch, in order to humiliate the army and try and force concessions. This mission, however, goes as is tradition at this point, poorly, resulting in the near capture of Arthur and Dutch, and the capture of Eagle Flies by the US military. In the next mission, we attempt to rescue Eagle Flies from the military and have yet another talk with Rains Fall.
Hello?
Come in. Mr. Morgan, I'm so glad you could make it.
How are you?
My son. My son is foolish, but he's still my son.
I know your son. A little. He's very brave. Very angry. He's mean.
How is your father?
He's dead a long time. He lived a lot longer than was good for any of us.
My son probably wishes the same to me.
I doubt that.
I want peace. I need my people to be safe. All my life I've tried to bring peace. But I love my son. They'll hang him for treason. Treason. He is the chief son of a proud nation. How could he commit treason? People who have lied to my people for 100 years or more, that's treason.
How could he commit treason? Is one of the most profound quotes from this game when it comes to the portrayal of the Native American plight. The rest of the conversation also speaks to how after the fight, any chance of reconciliation is gone, thanks to Dutch's manipulation of Eagle Flies. Arthur decides to rescue Eagle Flies, despite Rains Fall's objections. During the rescue, we find Eagle Flies in a prison, beaten, bloody, tortured. After breaking him out, a gunfight ensues, and the group escapes on 2 canoes. After escaping, Arthur and Eagle Flies have this conversation.
Colonel Favors won't be too happy with your rescue.
I guess not.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot more trouble. My father, even he may have to fight.
You won't win. No big fight with them. Shouldn't y'all just run away?
Where would we go?
I don't know.
Where would we go is such an amazing answer to the idea that natives should just move. Despite all of Arthur's help to the natives, he doesn't understand that their issues are more complex than his. He is accustomed to running from the law, so he thinks that will solve all the problems anyone has. Finally, during a heated argument at camp, Eagle Flies arrives, describing how the government attacked the reservation.
Mr. Vanderlyn! Mr. Morgan! Charles! They try to kill my people for oil! For oil! Today we ride once more. Ride with me! Ride with us! Ride with us against the factory!
I love your courage, son. It is a thing of great beauty.
Stop! Everyone stop! My son. My last son. Don't. When I was your age, I fought. I saw death. I have killed. The men I knew were slain. My firstborn, your brother, had his head smashed by a drunken soldier. My wife had her throat slit. I made peace. I knew not to trust, yet I had no choice. Maybe you were right. Maybe the slow death is worse than the fast one. Maybe none of these men are good. Maybe a world in which they came to us is a world that we cannot endure. But endure we must.
Father, you are tired.
Do not die for pride, my son. We have suffered too much in this trick. The earth, the water, they have no pride. They endure, and we must endure. My only boy, my precious boy, do not mistake my strength for weakness. As your chief, I implore you.
Your words mean nothing to me, Father.
Don't.
Ride with me! Now!
Stop. Please. Stop.
Rain's Fall contemplates whether a world in which the colonists never came to the Americas would be a better one. However, that is not the world that they live in. He pleads with his son, saying that he fought once, lost his family, and that fighting again would just bring more suffering. However, Eagle Flies does mistake Rain's Fall's strength for weakness, and rides on the factory. In this mission, the natives successfully attack the oil rig and the factories, and the gang members manage to find money that they need to escape. However, while breaking out, Eagle Flies is mortally wounded by Favors while saving Arthur's life. After Eagle Flies is wounded, Arthur confronts Dutch about leaving him for dead, and Dutch drops this line, while Eagle Flies sits wounded on Arthur's horse.
Everything is coming together. Exactly as I planned.
Now, this video is not about the in-game context of this line or the wider plot of Red Dead 2, but this line has always pissed me off. A man that Dutch manipulated into helping him is dying, and all he cares about is the money he made in betraying him. Arthur, disgusted as I am, takes Eagle Flies to see his father one last time.
Bring him to me. My son.
What are they gonna do now? They must move. And fast. I'll stay and help them.
Yeah, I'll stay too.
No, my friend. You have others who need you.
Charles stays behind to help the Wapiti move, and at the end of the main game, their fate is ultimately unknown. However, during the epilogue, we can re-encounter a familiar face.
Hello? Didn't I meet you a long time ago? I don't know. With, Arthur? Arthur Morgan?
Oh, yes.
My name is Rainsfall.
And I'm Jim Milton. John Marston.
Oh. Is Arthur,
He passed away a long time ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He saved my life. he gave his.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
And you? I know you had tough times.
Well, my people aren't really a tribe. We're just a bunch of families, I suppose. But we're in Canada now. It's,
What are you doing here?
I don't really know. My son, I suppose. Oh, he fell.
I know. I'm sorry. I've got a son. I'm very sorry.
Oh, it was a long time ago now. Well, it's good to see you, Mr. Marston.
And you.
The Wapiti fled to Canada, a path that some real-world tribes also took, notably the Lakota. However, there is more to this story. We can visit the site of the old reservation, now deserted, with a single pump jack set up where the teepees once stood. Notably, the pump jack is destroyed and non-functioning. We can also return to the site of the final battle of Eagle Flies. The front of the factory shows that Cornwall Oil Company shut down completely. The suffering of the Wapiti during the events of the story were completely for nothing. No oil was found on their land. They were driven out for no reason. Now that the groundwork is out of the way, we can discuss the real history of the figures depicted during the Native American arc. To start, Rain's Fall is a very clear reflection of a few Lakota leaders, most notably Sitting Bull and Red Cloud. Sitting Bull and his tribe fled to Canada after the Battle of Little Bighorn, where the tribe resides now. However, Red Cloud, at least to me, is much more interesting. Red Cloud was chief of the Oglala Lakota, and a major belligerent in the appropriately named Red Cloud's War. However, after the war, he pursued more peaceful measures and somewhat successfully led his people to reservation life. However, after the Treaty of 1868 was signed, gold was discovered in the Black Hills, and the government did little to protect the natives of whom the treaty had been signed with. Much like Rain's Fall, Red Cloud sat out the war that followed, hoping to reach a peaceful solution that was never found. He also opposed measures like the Dawes Act of 1887 and further encroachment on Lakota land. His last words should sound somewhat familiar as well. They made us many promises, more than I can remember, but they kept but one. They promised to take our land, and they took it. Eagle Flies is somewhat harder to nail down. I tried my best to find an exact allegory. However, he seems to be made more as a foil to his father, someone who has a different philosophy of change. However, the closest I found is that of Crazy Horse. Like Crazy Horse, Eagle Flies is a great warrior, one who fought for his people after the military, and the government failed to honor their treaties. The circumstances of the last battle are similar to the Battle of Little Bighorn, with the natives fighting against encroachment over resources, and afterward being forced to head north to Canada as a result of the conflict, like Sitting Bull did. However, these similarities are somewhat surface, and as this video is due in a few days at time of writing, I don't really have time to dig deeper. Colonel Favors is also a very interesting character in terms of their real-life history. Favors seems to be based on Colonel John Chivington, although the time periods don't line up. Chivington was from the 60s. This game takes place in 1899 and 1907. Chivington was a volunteer colonel and commander of the District of Colorado during the American Civil War, and he also orchestrated the Sand Creek Massacre. On the morning of November 28th, Colonel Chivington and his troops arrived at a Cheyenne and Arapaho camp. His men opened fire upon civilians in the camp and killed 230 people, mostly women, children, and the elderly. Eyewitnesses of the event were horrified.
There was one little child, probably 3 years old, just big enough to walk through the sand. The Indians had gone ahead, and this little child was behind, following after them. I saw one man get off his horse at a distance of about 75 yards and drop his rifle and fire. He missed the child. Another man came up and said, "Let me try the son of a bitch. I can hit him." He got down off his horse, kneeled down, and fired at the little child, but he missed him. A third man came up and made a similar remark, fired, and the little fellow dropped.
While an event like this is not shown in the actual game, similar events do take place, and we have no idea what the attack that occurred on the reservation looked like, as, after the raid on the oil field, the reservation seems as it was during the other missions. Additionally, Chivington, who was in charge of the peace negotiations of the Cheyenne, purposefully botched the negotiations, much like Favors did. And much like the game, in which Favors is able to get away with his actions until his death at the hands of Arthur, Chivington was never charged for his actions, as he resigned his commission after the battle. Oh, that was another chapter in the worst parts of American history. I wish there was more that I could say to end this on a positive note, but I think that ending seems pretty apt. I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for watching all the way to the end. This was my first time making a real video essay, and it was a lot of fun researching this topic outside the depressing parts. I hope this is the start of a trend, and not just another me making a video for class because I said I would. But I'm actually pretty proud of this, and hopefully we can keep this up. And if there is something I got wrong, always correct me in the comments, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video essay about Red Dead.